Hey there! Welcome back to Reddit Dating, best channel for cheating stories. Make sure to like and subscribe the channel for more spicy stories. My 40s male, wife, 30s female, cheated after 14 years while drunk/high, but wants to fix things. I'll try to make this as brief as possible, and I doubt anybody will read it, but maybe just I'll benefit from writing it down. My wife was the one I spent the most time with. For the most part, the preceding 14 years have been excellent. I loved her more than anything else in the world, and she adored me back. Even though she is a great person with a flaming temper, she was the yin to my yang in our relationship. I have a very even temperament and make a concerted effort to halt and consider my actions before I act, while she is a bit more thoughtless and emotionally charged. However, it was a fantastic combo. The other half of myself that I had been missing, and the other half of her that I had been missing. For many years, we had been a happy marriage without children. The fact that she did not want children had been established from the beginning of her relationship with him. Mother looked after my daughter when she came to see me a number of years before we became acquainted. She was a wonderful second mother to her children. We had our ups and downs, just like any other marriage, but we made it through. Years ago, she had some difficulties as a result of being too close to a colleague. Initially, she misled me about the hardship, but we eventually got through it, and I felt we were stronger than we'd ever been before. In the town, we spent a lot of time together with our friends. We drank a little more than we should have for our health, but neither of us had a drinking problem, as the term is often used. We've both worked in the hospitality industry, so it's just something that comes with the job. After that, she made the decision not to have children. Perhaps it was the fact that she had reached the age of 30 and had developed baby fever, or perhaps it was the fact that she had seen her sisters enjoying their children that influenced her decision. It really doesn't make a difference. Nonetheless, one evening, we had a conversation during which I expressed my desire to have a family with her. The timing, on the other hand, was inconvenient. The short answer is that both of our jobs were at risk of being terminated, and we had no way of knowing what would happen in the near future. Having suffered through a terrible year, in which we lost everything and had to start again, we eventually got back on our feet. While going through a tough moment, she started to drink an increasing amount. She comes from a family of alcoholics, which makes her situation much more difficult. For a while, her behavior deteriorated dramatically as a result of her drinking and her desperation at having to start all over again. Although we were unable to escape our predicament, we were able to get back on our feet and begin putting our lives back together. Her drinking, on the other hand, continued to be a problem. She'd become drunk and start calling me names, which I didn't like. She got drunk while at work and was dismissed as a result of her drinking while on the clock. She was still my wife, and I loved her, so I made every effort to be of assistance and support to her. She would abstain from alcohol completely for a period of time, only to return to it a few months later. Even when she was sober, she was always remorseful, and for the most part, she was still good. But once a month or so she would get drunk and tell me she hates me and is leaving me for a real person who would have a family with her. This continued for several months. I tried to persuade her that we couldn't have a family while she was under the influence of alcohol and acting inappropriately. Just a few months ago, things started to go sideways. She started to drink on a regular basis, disguising her alcohol use and lying to me about her drinking habits, among other things. She also started to use cocaine on a regular basis, practically on a daily level. I don't have anything against drug use. We'd done it together a few times previously, but not on a regular basis. She was fooling me about her drug usage, and I caught her. I confronted her on multiple occasions, telling her that she had said that she wanted to have a family, but was not acting in a way that would enable that to happen. She ignored my repeated reminders. After then, something happened. She was with someone I assumed to be a friend, but it turned out he wasn't one at all. She was intoxicated, and the two of them were smoking coke at the same time. He knew what she wanted to hear because he and I had previously addressed our problems, and he used that information to give her what she wanted to hear. He conned her into thinking he was interested in her. Yes, she did it again, and she did it on her own initiative. She was not coerced. He did, however, prey on a drunken lady, drugged her, and then kicked her out of the house after he had been bedded. That night, I had to pick her up and take her to the hospital. After they returned home to acquire more drugs, she informed me about the incident in which he started vomiting up, and she was desperate to get out of there. I feel I could have forgiven her on the spot if she had come to me as soon as the incident happened and admitted her guilt and shown want to improve, obtain her help, and make an effort to move on. That, on the other hand, did not happen. I found out about the text messages they exchanged around a week after they happened. Following my challenge, she told me of what had occurred, and she consented to leave the premises and return to her parents' home. That is exactly where she is at the moment. I had no clue she had gotten herself into such a mess as she did that night until I read the messages. I was also unaware of the extent to which he had used her in order to be laid. I've now learnt that he's done this before, and that it's his preferred manner of attracting female attention. He is a nefarious individual who stalks and preys on vulnerable ladies. That is reprehensible. She really regrets her actions. She acknowledges that what she did was wrong, and she admits that she was to blame for what happened that night, despite the fact that he spoke what he needed to say. She wants to make an effort to resolve this issue and keep our marriage intact. She has already given up drinking and has said that she would never do so again in her life. She says she was disappointed that we didn't have a family, but she is well aware that this was due to her actions. The rock bottom she had to reach, she said, was the point at which she could begin to rebuild herself and return to the person she had been before. I'm completely lost on what to do next. She was the one I spent the most time with. She was the love of my life. I'm certain that none of this would have happened if it hadn't been for the drugs and drink in my system. However, I'm not sure I'll ever be able to put my faith in her again. Even if I can eventually trust her again, our major concern was creating a family, and I don't feel I can trust her enough in the time we have left to accomplish that goal with the resources we have available to us. Her biological clock is ticking away the minutes till she passes away. While nothing would make me happier than to be able to recover the happiness we had before our lives were broken, there is nothing that can be done to turn the clock back. Nothing can undo the damage that has been done. I came to the realization that no one, including myself, is perfect. But am I merely putting myself in a position to cause myself more sorrow in the future? What am I supposed to do? Edit. Yes, I was intentionally ambiguous about a number of factors, including my age, in order to protect my privacy. No, I was not a hunter in any way. We were both colleagues and friends at the same time. She was 20 years old, and I was 27 years old at the time. She was a few years younger than I was, to be sure. However, we were close friends who had just gone through a difficult split. We started talking and bonding with one another, and things developed from there. Also, yes, it took us more than a year to get back on our feet after the accident. The idea of having a child has been on our minds for a number of years. Story 2. Divorced my ex-wife when I caught her cheating, and she remarried a year later. So I have 2 children, and because of the way I discovered her cheating, I was awarded joint custody with my ex-wife. I like paying visits to my children and spending time with them. They are by far the most pleasurable component of my whole life. My ex-wife cheated on me because she knew I was a musician, and she took advantage of the situation. I followed through on every dream she had. We bought a house before I had enough money for a down payment because she wanted it. I was determined to see her dreams come true. She told me that my dreams were okay and that I should pursue them. However, as time went on and we had 2 children, she started to act oddly about our marriage, which began around 3 years after we were married. Another man is now addressed as father by my children a year after the first. Every time it happens, it makes me feel physically sick. My ex-wife was having a full-fledged affair with another man, without the use of condoms or any other kind of protection, and then coming home and acting as if nothing had taken place. She's a complete and total jerk. Is it possible for you to look after the kids tonight? I'm going on a girls' night out with my girlfriends. I didn't even bother to attempt to make things right, and it's been weighing heavy on my mind lately. Great, now I can get out of this mess and live the life I want, a part of me thought, but I still have to account to her for her foolishness, which I find frustrating. And I loathe the fact that I continue to be infatuated with her. Take nothing I say about wanting her back or being in love with her as seriously as you can. But I was with her from the time I was 15 until I was 32, and we were married for 6 years throughout that time. We were a 2-person family. She had only just ceased to see me as a legitimate authority figure. I stopped taking her and stood up for myself, and she responded by cheating on me. She took our belongings and threw them out the window. What's worse, what's the aim of it all? When she realized what she'd done, she shrugged. After you figured it out, I'll go back to belittling you and criticizing everything you do. What had I done wrong that I wasn't good enough? I was honest, I paid my bills on time, and I always got the idea that she couldn't care less about my well-being. She just wanted to use me as a stepping stone until she could find a new man to monkey branch to, which was hurtful. I've been told by my children that she and their new father never argue, and that everything is wonderful between them. I'm being eaten alive on the inside by it every day, and I can't help but smile when I think about it. In addition, I must maintain good conduct. On a daily basis, I can't show my children how devastated I am. On a weekly basis, I can't express my feelings to her, and her new husband has no idea what happened during our marriage. Perhaps this is the anguish that will accompany me for the rest of my life, at least until I reach old age. I don't believe this will ever be without some level of discomfort. I'm not sure I'll ever be able to put my faith in another woman again. I'm not sure whether I really want to go through with it. Thanks.